How you doing? Mr. DJ's back. There's quite a few Lost 45s I want to cover tonight. Probably get to two or three of them from Billboard's Hot 100, April 13th, 1963. And let me bring that up for you real quick. Look at it. Oh my goodness, man. Look at these. Just we got on Broadway by the Drifters, up from 37 to number 22 that week. And Don't Be Afraid, Little Darling, the song I want to talk to you about by Steve Lawrence, went from 47 to 33 to 27 up to, well, went up one notch to 26. Lost 45 by Steve Lawrence. Don't Be Afraid, Little Darling. Steve Lawrence, who started recording for the King record label back in the early 50s, a regular on the Steve Allen Show. It started out as a local show and went national in 1954. And Steve Lawrence was a regular on the Steve Allen Show, and that's where he met Eddie Gourmet. And Eddie Gourmet and Steve Lawrence, they did some duets together in the early '60s. They got married in Las Vegas in 1957. Steve Lawrence seemed like, Steve Lawrence had sort of a charmed life. Now get this: 1958, Steve Lawrence, he was 23 years old. He was drafted, but instead of serving in the infantry, he was stationed at Fort Myer, Virginia, became a singer. He was a singer in the Army Band Orchestra. Not only that, the Army, they were pretty generous to Steve Lawrence. They let him record. He recorded his fifth album while he was still in the Army. Not only that, he switched to another record label. He went from King to the Coral record label. The Coral record label, he had that hit, Party Doll, the cover of the Buddy Knox song in 1957. And then he switched to the Coral, and then he went to ABC Paramount around 1959, 1960. Whoo, boy, that's a mouthful right there. He switched to a lot of record companies in the 50s all the way into the mid 60s. A couple of hit records that he had, 1959, 1960, Pretty Blue Eyes. Remember that? That was a nice record. Pretty Blue Eyes and Footsteps back in 1960. 1962, he signed, and he got his wife too to sign up with the Columbia record label. First few singles off of Columbia were a disappointment. Didn't do anything for Steve Lawrence, but the Brill Building songwriting team of Carole King and Jerry Goffin came to the rescue. They wrote one of his biggest hits, well, probably his signature hit, Go Away Little Girl, back in 1962, might have been early 63. And then the follow-up to that song, Don't Be Afraid, Little Darling, written by another Brill Building crack songwriting team. Barry Mann, the guy who put the bump in the bump bump bump, that parody of the doo wop records, that was Barry Mann. And Cynthia Weil, Weil, Cynthia Weil and Barry Mann, one of the most brilliant songwriters of the '60s. They wrote "You Lost That Love and Feeling," "We Got to Get Out of This Place," which was covered by Paul Revere and the Raiders. They wrote that. I think they wrote "Hungry," but I'm not sure on that. Don't quote me on that. Which was done by Paul Revere and the Raiders. Well, let's go ahead and get this song in at number 26. It is Steve Lawrence with "Don't Be Afraid, Little Darling," Billboard's Hot 100 back in April 13th, 1963.